Hey everyone, Mystical Mark here. So this will be your weekly astrology forecast for the week of October 6th to the 12th of 2024. Before we get into the charts for this week, if you are interested in getting a reading with me, you can head over to my Etsy shop. Link is in the description if you're on YouTube or in my bio if you're on TikTok. If you do want to consider supporting me as well through my Ko-Fi, link is also in the description as well as in my bio on TikTok. I do have membership tiers there that I've just started to put up, so you can get access to any video that I post before it's publicly released. As well, there's also a tier for weekly live streams as well, where you can ask me about the current astrology, your charts, ask me about my life, whatever. It's just kind of a live stream just to connect with the members who are in that tier and to get, just more information beyond what these videos have, or kind of what I put into these videos, I guess you could say. All right. And of course, you can always support me just by hitting that like button, commenting, subscribing, hitting that follow button if you're on TikTok, as it helps the algorithm to do its thing and get this video out where it needs to go. With all that being said, let's get into the astrology for this week. As we head into the chart here for this week, there is one thing I do want to mention. Last week, of course, was the video I did for this past eclipse, the new moon in Libra, solar eclipse. So with that, you have to remember with eclipse energy that it is valid basically until next eclipse season, so for approximately 6 months. So for that video, as well as the video prior to that, with that full moon in Pisces eclipse, those are still going to be relevant for the next 6 months, basically. And I actually really like the video that I did last week. There was definitely a vibe of that Lilith energy that came through in that video. So if you haven't seen that and you're interested, please go back and check that previous one out. And like I said, that message is still going to be valid likely for the next 6 months, 5 to 6 months or so, until the next eclipse season. There's a lot of good information in there, a lot of intensity, a lot of stuff changing, and just watch the video, you'll know what I mean, and that energy really isn't going to be going away, just so everyone's aware. All right, so let's get into it for this week. So we're going to start off with Sunday here, October 6th. So on this day, we're going to have Mercury in square to Mars, as well as the Sun in quincunx to Saturn. So for anyone that doesn't know, I just have the list of the aspects that are peaking here on my phone, and we're just going to go through all of the major, and I'll always do minor aspects as well throughout the week this week. So, and if you're watching on TikTok, yes, this will be a longer video, okay? But there's usually lots of good information that just kind of comes through in this. I just step into this and just go for it, right? I don't do much pre-work. So whatever is coming through is just whatever's coming through. You get this raw and real, guys. So, yeah. Okay, anyways, let's just get into it here. So we're going to have this Mercury square Mars. So we can see here Mercury in Libra and square to a Mars here in Cancer. Okay, what's interesting too as well is it looks to be like there's kind of a T-square here with Chiron. So you have this Mercury opposition here and then this Mars square building. Of course, Chiron's at 21 degrees. It is retrograde. So we are dealing with an energy here with Chiron about past things. So this could be past wounds, past hurts. This relates, I don't know where I was going with that, relates to aspects of self, our identity, our wounds of self that kind of exist in that space there. So that could be something that is triggered here. And of course, as it's retrograde, this is stuff that has been going on for a while that we're really focusing on healing through this point. With Mercury here, this could bring things into awareness, either mental awareness or be straight up communicated, right? So with Mercury in Libra, in last week's video, I mentioned these aspects of justice, balance. And I think that that's still a theme that's kind of playing out here, especially with Mars in Cancer. Part of this is almost like I'm feeling like a maybe even like a feminine energy that's coming through here that's finally finding its ground for support in a way and in healing certain things. Right? Libra can also deal with aspects of codependency where we've been put upon. really being kind of out of balance in relationships, as it may be more focused on the other instead of focused on the self. So there could be, I almost want to say like rough communications regarding this, depending on what side of that you're on. I suppose if you're the one that's, I'm going to use the word narcissist, if you're kind of in that kind of behavior or being self-centered or whatever and putting upon other people, then this likely isn't going to feel very good for you. But if you're the one that is finally standing up for yourself, your own identity, while still respecting others as well, then this is likely going to be, I want to seem like more in your favor, I suppose, in that sense, right? But with this T-square here, this is really focused on healing and moving forward. Mars in Cancer, like I said, there's this desire to feel comfortable. There's also this emotional kind of release that maybe gets communicated possibly in some way, but it's reaching like a balance point. I think with this Mercury here in Libra, there's this communication is starting to kind of reach this balance point regarding how we may feel angered, we may feel triggered or some way, but ultimately we want to heal here with this opposition or with this T-square forming. T-squares can feel very intense as it's this opposition in these two squares that really kind of, and both of those aspects are really pushing for some kind of resolution and balance to something, right? So we really want to make awareness of maybe how we've been hurt and how we really need to move forward and to heal in our own identity, and not so much worrying about everybody else's bullshit in a way, right? But this is also along the lines of having our own individuality and expression in that sense, but also respecting that for other people as well and allowing them to have that, but not coming into the extent to which you end up just being a fucking doormat, if that really makes sense to people. And I think with the Mars in Cancer, it's triggering that emotionally as well. And we want to bring on more of that comfy cozy Cancer and the desire for that instead of triggering just that. And I think a lot of, that Chiron, with the Chiron here in this T-square, we're kind of maybe bringing that up in order to be, ultimately to be healed. We want to heal through this Chiron energy. Also here, we're going to have the Sun peaking in quincunx to Saturn. So with the quincunx, this can be very frustrating. I feel like it might relate to this Mercury square as well, in that I consider Saturn in Pisces the dissolution of that malefic energy. And with the Sun here in Libra, wanting to find balance, justice, those kinds of themes, right? There could be a frustration here with this Saturn energy, because Saturn can be a bit, I was going to say a bit of an asshole, but those aspects of control can be a bit of an asshole, but that's the stuff that we're needing to get rid of, right? Saturn in Pisces is a very mutable sign. There's no boundaries to Pisces. There's no structure to Pisces. It's very malleable. It's the imagination. It's spirituality. It's knowing that anything is possible. With Saturn here, it turns the structure, or these restrictions and structures, into something that's malleable, that's changeable. And there's going to be a frustration here. I feel like it's more so with people that, so I'm burping here, so pay attention to this. This is when I usually burp. It's like a trigger. So this is more so with people that have been in that controlling state, or they've wanted to control others. They've wanted to have the control instead of allowing people to be themselves and have control over their own lives. It's this, like I said, it's the dissolution of that malefic energy. This is going to feel more frustrating, like I kind of felt there, for the people that are basically being the douchebags, for the people that are being the assholes, for the people that are not respecting other people and allowing them to be in this individual state, and are really just, taking advantage of their kindness and turning them into a doormat, right? But the doormat energy is done. Right? So all of this stuff here in Libra, well, what rules Libra is Venus, and Venus is here in Scorpio. So there's a lot of stuff that's coming out. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be transformed and changed. And I feel like even though technically, astrologically, Venus is at her detriment in Scorpio, I feel like Scorpio is also like that raw power. And I feel like with Venus here, it's almost like that Venus, it's giving power to this, transformational power. Especially with Lilith here in Libra too, that energy. Watch the video last week. It kind of really brings up what I'm talking about right here. is this feminine power of where we've been like outcast and really no longer putting up with that BS any longer. So I think there's going to be a frustration here with that, but there's an integration that needs to occur, and that balance does in fact need to occur. Okay, we're still in the eclipse window, I guess, if you want to call it that, even though the eclipses are technically done. That energy really isn't going to be really done until the new moon in Scorpio, right? That I don't know the exact date that's going to happen. It's interesting that there's a U.S. election at the beginning of November. I believe it's November 5th. I don't know. I'm Canadian. I don't know this stuff, but I think that's when it's coming. There's been election stuff for so long, I don't even know anymore. And the fact that that's kind of, yeah, I'm not really going to get into that because I don't really want to talk about politics, but just find that interesting. We'll see what happens. Anyway, so more to with this quincunx here. I think with this as well, because Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, where Pluto is currently. I think we're going to... Where was I going with this? I think with this Pluto retrograde here, like I've said before, this is like... Previously, at the beginning of the year, I said Pluto at the end of Capricorn was the final nail in the coffin to the old world, as it was coming into Aquarius. And with this retrograde, it's like that nail's trying to inch its way back up, and it's like, no, pounding it back down into the hole. It's like, you're done, right? So it's kind of like this final destruction, final transformation of that structure, and that dissolution of this energy, making it more malleable so that it can change into something that's more conducive to being more balanced. But there's an integration that needs to occur here. There may be things that need to be released, that communicated in order for us to heal in some way. This energy is really pushing for this integration or whatever. And I feel like I said, that frustration can be frustrating for those that are not willing to come into an actual balance, because they don't have everyone's best interest at heart. They only have their own interest at heart. Okay, so that's where I think this might be, I feel, the most frustrating for people. However, I don't want to say it can feel frustrating, but it can kind of maybe feel like, oh, finally, or like something that's like, yeah, we really need to integrate and deal with this, for someone that was on the other side of that. So it can still feel maybe a bit that negative in that way, even for the other person. But yeah, anyways, and it may not be like just one specific person or one specific relationship. This could be even like more in a larger generalized sense as well. Okay, so that's what I have for Sunday here. Let's move on to Monday here, the 7th. So on this day, looks like we kind of have a lot of behind the scenes type energy. So what I mean by that is here, so we have Venus here in quintile to Pluto retrograde. We're also going to have Mercury in biquintile to Saturn, Uranus in biquintile to Juno, and Mercury in biquintile to Uranus. So let me just kind of take a look here, because we do have a quintile is Uranus. Yeah, so there looks like there's a bit of a golden yod here happening between this Mercury here in Libra, as well as Uranus and Saturn, which are still in a quintile here with Mercury. So it looks like there is some kind of aspect of change, right, with Uranus here, especially retrograde. Saturn retrograde, like I said, Saturn in Pisces, this dissolution of this malefic energy, becoming more malleable. The ruler, Saturn is ruling of... Okay, come on, let the words flow here. Saturn rules Capricorn, where Pluto is, where we're having that final transformation like I talked about, and it's really just regarding a lot of aspects of change, right? So, and with Uranus here in Taurus, it's kind of like I said, that cattle prod energy really pushing towards these aspects of change, these big changes that we need to make, that cattle prod pushing everyone to kind of learn to see the value in this change. But this is change that really needs to occur. However, with these quintiles and biquintiles, this is a lot of stuff that is happening behind the scenes. This is also very strong, so pay attention to that. It's also very strong, creative, feminine type energy, right? And Mercury here at the apex of this yod in Libra, ruled by Venus, which is, you can consider a feminine energy, in Scorpio, also a feminine sign, but Scorpio is a very powerful transformational sign. So it's almost like there might be stuff coming out that maybe has occurred behind the scenes, or there's behind the scenes stuff going on to help to bring an awareness or communication to something, to help to bring balance to something in some way. But it's regarding these aspects of change and a dissolution of this energy in some form here. So there is this golden yod kind of forming here with this apex point of Mercury in Libra, with the ruler of this Libra energy, Venus in Scorpio. So there's a transformational aspect that's occurring here. This is very strong. This is very feminine energy is what I want to say. Very feminine, very creative stuff coming through. We may not know or see exactly what is going on here, but it may come into our awareness. It depends kind of maybe just where you're involved in this kind of thing. But also it could very well become communicated in some way as Mercury is involved here. And we do have Jupiter here in Gemini, which is Mercury's sign. So that could be related to it as well as an expansion of this type of energy. So that's kind of something that's occurring with that. We also have, because Juno is kind of involved here as well, and is also peaking in that biquintile to Uranus, there is an aspect of partnerships, contractual partnerships, those types of things that are kind of coming into play here as well, and committed partnerships. That can be business partnerships, that can be marriages, that can be like any of that kind of stuff. So there could be something that's changing regarding that, and is happening behind the scenes, or has happened behind the scenes. There's been a lot of creative work put in behind the scenes to change these things that are now becoming, put out there in some way. And because Mercury's in Libra, this is for some type of rebalancing, possibly aspects of justice, again, in that way as well. Mercury also reaches an exact conjunction to Juno today. So Juno is playing a definite part in this golden yod that exists here. So there could be an aspects of partnerships and relationships and contractual partnerships and commitments that are surrounding that. And because this relates to Saturn and Uranus that are retrograde, this is likely stuff that maybe has been going on behind the scenes for a very long time that is now requiring change and needing to be dissolved. And these could be big things as well that need to be moved and shifted with Uranus here down in Taurus. The cattle prod type energy really pushing for this type of stuff to come through, right? So, and with Venus here as well in Scorpio ruling over this stuff in this quintile to Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, with Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn. So I feel like this energy, this is all kind of interrelated. So that's more creative behind the scenes stuff, dealing with people, relationships. It's this feminine energy that's really strongly now coming through. I think since last week, since that eclipse energy, that Lilith energy, that there's a very strong feminine energy that's coming through that's trying to seek, not even trying to seek balance. I feel like it ultimately, the goal is to have balance between, and I mentioned this in last week's video, between we're so focused on like the negative masculine patriarchal energy, and now this strong feminine energy is coming back up to bring things back into balance. It's trying to swing the pendulum back into equilibrium, not all the way in the other direction. You don't want to go all the way into the feminine side, because then that just brings it out of balance again, and then you focus on the extremes of that, which could result in the negative side of the feminine energy coming through. We just want to be in a balanced state with both aspects working together naturally, right? And also, like I said in previous videos, we all have masculine and feminine energy within us. Okay, it doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is, your gender identity is, any of that. That is all still valid, of course. But again, we all still have those energies within us, and when they're in balance is when, we're at our best, right? Because they're both able to express equally at the same time and work together in harmony in that way. Okay, so it looks like kind of a really interesting day on Monday with that golden yod there happening, and with that Venus and Scorpio type energy with the Pluto there. It's like there's some real transformation that is existing like behind the scenes in some way regarding, and I'm feeling it's aspects of partnerships, relationships, people, that kind of stuff. But that's something that really does truly need to change and find a balance in some way. And this could just simply relate to this Libra and this feminine energy coming through in whatever way that is, to seek some kind of balance or justice in some way, right? I feel like this is just carrying forward more of what really has just come through in last week's video. So if you do have the time, I would recommend that you really do watch that, as that was honestly one of my most favorite videos to record. Okay, so let's go on to Tuesday here, the 8th. So here we're going to have Venus peaking in trine to Mars here in Cancer. We're going to have Mercury in trine to Jupiter, as well as Mercury in opposition to Chiron. Okay, so with this Venus here in trine to Mars, so I almost feel like this is that strong power coming through again, but this is also maybe a bit of more of a positive balancing between the Mars and the Venus energy as well. With Venus here in Scorpio, Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio, right? So we're dealing a lot with maybe this Mars energy. This could be stuff that also we just don't really want to deal with, but we have to deal with, right? That's just Scorpio. Right? Scorpio brings up the shit that nobody wants to deal with, but you have to deal with in order to move into a better place, in order to transform, in order to heal those things, right? So, and with Mars in Cancer, I feel like more this is bringing out, it's like this triggered emotional energy, triggered feminine energy that is really just coming out. But because this is a trine, ultimately, I think this is going to end up positive, even though with Mars here, it may not feel very positive as we're going through it. Right? And with Venus in Scorpio too, it's, like I said, Venus is technically a detriment in Scorpio. However, I feel like there's a lot more power to this Venus in Scorpio than I think a lot of people that would take a traditional look at astrology would maybe realize in this sense. Because you have to remember, astrology is like the blueprint of the energy. However, how that energy ends up being used is ultimately up to our higher selves, up to source, up to how things are meant to play out here, right? Astrology is really a reflection of the natural cycles of the universe through mathematics, through all of that. I'm not really going to get fully in depth into that here. But yeah, so I do feel like there's kind of like a strong feminine energy that seems to be coming through here with this, especially with Venus still in quintile here to Pluto, retrograde in Capricorn. Like there's something about this kind of destruction. And like I said, with Pluto and Capricorn, this is the final, really shoving that nail into the coffin. And it's November 19th. I believe is when Pluto comes back into Aquarius, and it's there for 20 years. So there's not much of this left. There's a lot of crazy shit happening in the world right now, and I think that that's kind of really on purpose, because I've said before in previous videos with Pluto retrograding Capricorn is we can't fuck this up. As in, this is the final ending of these bullshit aspects of control that are no longer good for us, and rebuilding that new foundation in a new way so that we can move forward in a new really advanced kind of direction. We can talk more about that when maybe Pluto ends up back into Aquarius again. But you can just even watch my previous videos where I talk about Pluto and Aquarius, and you'll see what I mean there. Okay, we're also going to have, let's pull it off, Venus here, Mercury in trine to Jupiter. Okay, so again, there could be, I brought this up again earlier in this video as well, this expansion of this communication, as well as since we're going to have Mercury in opposition to Chiron as well. So I talked about this with the Sunday energy, with this T-square to Mars, technical T-square to Mars, not exact, but there was the exact in that Mars square Mercury. So there could be an expansion of this aspect of communication and awareness surrounding, justice and balance and those types of things, and ultimately wanting to heal. And again, I'm burping is coming up, so this is something likely to come up here. So where we're wanting to heal, right? In these aspects of ourself, where we've been hurt, when we really need to move forward in that. And I feel like this is also healing this part of ourselves, also healing the masculine energy as well, maybe in terms of properly defending the feminine, but also in terms of properly defending ourselves just in general, right? Because we've been treated with such doormat energy that this part has been so out of balance for so long that we really need to focus on healing this. There's a balancing that needs to occur and a justice that needs to occur here ultimately, and to heal these aspects of ourselves. And I feel like it's the Mars energy, but it's not just anger. I would almost say not to take it into the realm of anger, but take it into the realm of standing up for what's right and standing up for ourselves in an appropriate way. Okay, this isn't like going too crazy with the Mars energy, but it's doing it like in an appropriate way. And I'm kind of being drawn in my mind to Mars and Cancer. This is like the mother energy. It's like when you have to, be that stern like mom energy. It's like, okay, you guys need to settle down. It's like, okay, we can't do this right now. Like you have to come from a loving place, but you also have to have that assertiveness that says, okay, this can't happen right now, guys. Or like, this is for your own good. Okay, you can't climb on the counter or whatever. The stove is hot. You're going to get burned. Like, there's things where you have to like kind of be, I don't want to say strict, but be like, be assertive, but in a positive, like actual caring way, to be like, no, you can't do that. Or no, you're stepping on my boundaries here. We need to find an appropriate balance in this, right? It's defending ourselves, but also this is like more of like an appropriate way. I don't know. There's like an appropriateness that is coming through here in some way. And like I said, it's healing that Mars energy. It's healing that aspect of ourselves to kind of stand up for ourselves. There's a very strong healing of this balance almost between like masculine and feminine energy that is coming through here now, because of this feminine power that has somehow risen up, or this aspect of needing to find balance and justice in that way. And I feel like that's really kind of what this Chiron retrograde stuff with this opposition here is kind of really beginning to heal in this sense. And to communicate. But there's an aspect of justice and boundaries and assertiveness that is really kind of needing to come through there. All right, so let's go on to Wednesday here, the 9th. Okay, so on Wednesday here, the 9th, I think the big thing that's probably going to be happening is Jupiter is going to go retrograde. Jupiter will also trine Juno on this day, and Juno here is going to be in exact opposition to Chiron. So again, I think there's going to be healing stuff, finding balance between partnerships, contractual partnerships. This could be business partnerships, any kind of committed partnership or relationship that is there. Again, with Venus here in Scorpio ruling over this stuff, there's a transformation and a change there, and it's a healing regarding maybe some aspect of assertiveness. People coming out because maybe they're just fed up with shit, with this emotional stuff, that it just needs to come out in order to be healed at this point. I think this is really just going off more of what I've already mentioned in this video in terms of what's kind of coming out here with this energy. But with Jupiter now retrograde and of course trine this Mercury and Juno type stuff, I think this might be a theme of this Jupiter retrograde as well in Gemini, is bringing awareness and communication to more appropriate balance within relationships, justice, communication surrounding aspects of justice, those kinds of things. Jupiter can also relate to aspects of abundance as well, so that could be related to the fairness or justice that is coming through with this Libra energy too, with this trine. And yeah, or where we may have been blocked in this way, where we need to find balance in this way, because Jupiter retrograde is going over these old spaces, old grounds, right? And of course, remember, we had these past eclipses in Jupiter's shadow. So Jupiter is going to be going retrograde over these spaces. And with this retrograde starting with this trine to Mercury and Juno and all of this, I think a lot of the stuff that I mentioned regarding this eclipse energy, and Jupiter expands what it touches, because that was in Jupiter's shadow and now Jupiter's retrograde, I think we're really going to see more of an expansion surrounding an awareness, a communication, and a learning of stuff that is coming through. This might be very blown up, especially in terms of awareness, communication, those kinds of things, as that's Jupiter's energy. It expands. But this could be expanding our minds into new directions, bring awareness to certain things, so that we can move into new directions, right? It's communication that comes through, waking up to certain things that it's like, okay, we can't do that anymore. Now we have to move into this direction. And it's going over old stuff that we already know that we need to look at in that way so that we can kind of expand, right? But we need to continue to relook at these things that maybe we haven't looked at enough. This could be expansion or abundance in areas where we've already been, but it's like, we need to kind of see maybe there was things that were overlooked, or maybe we thought we were blocked but we weren't, but we need to go over that old space to maybe see certain things, or it's that kind of energy. But I feel kind of more strongly because this Jupiter shadow was happening through this eclipse season. I think those themes are really kind of still going to be expanded throughout this as well, with this trine to these energies, and with Venus and Scorpios ruling over this Libra stuff. That's kind of really coming up here. So we're going to deal with maybe old stuff kind of maybe coming out in a way. And again, this isn't just even on a global scale. This could be on a personal scale. There's different levels to all of these, and how this is going to individually affect you is, of course, where this would fall in your own chart. So again, if you do want a personal reading with me, that link is in my bio on TikTok, in the description on YouTube. All right, because that's the best way to know and understand how this stuff is going to be affecting you. You can also just take what I'm saying here and try to apply it within your own chart, your own houses, aspects, etc. Okay, so I think that's, kind of the gist of it. Jupiter is expanding this Juno type energy as well. So there's a partnership. Like I said, this could be contractual partnerships, business partnerships, those kinds of things that is highlighted with this as well. Yeah, there might be a certain awareness that begins to come through here, and starts to become really expanded in a lot of ways with this energy, especially regarding things that have happened in the past or previously before. All right, I think that's the gist of that energy. Let's move on to Thursday the 10th here. And we're going to have this first quarter moon. So we've got the sun here in Libra at 17 degrees and the moon in Capricorn at 17 degrees. All right, and we're going to have this Chiron energy here as well as this Mars. So you can see it's kind of in a T-square here with this Mars here in Cancer at 19 degrees. And of course, Chiron here at 21. So Chiron here squaring the moon here in Capricorn, Mars in Cancer, and then of course the sun Libra. So there is a grand cross energy that is occurring here involving Chiron as well as Mars. So again, like I said, I think this is dealing with this healing, this assertiveness type energy, bringing back this balance towards, I almost want to say, this power to this feminine energy again, right? Especially with the moon in Capricorn. The moon rules Cancer, but so the moon is kind of dealing with our emotions. The moon is maybe a bit more feminine. Capricorn can be restrictive or very controlling in this sense, but it also is the sign of boundaries, the sign of control, the sign of goals. I feel like this again is that energy that is now finding justice and finding that almost like that control again in that way, and seeking appropriateness of this balance and setting appropriate boundaries and stuff in this way. We're healing a lot of that stuff with this and finding that balance, finding that justice in this way. That just kind of really feels like what is very strongly coming through this week. And I think the last time I talked about a quarter moon, we had, I believe, a grand cross as well. And now we're having another grand cross again with this first quarter moon. So I feel like as much as people want to focus on like new moons and full moons and stuff like that, I feel like this quarter moon is actually having a very strong effect as well. I think all of these lunar cycles, especially since technically we're still in this eclipse season, like I said, until the new moon in Scorpio. So there's this finding of like justice, balance, finding your voice, like setting appropriate boundaries, and like healing this aspect of assertiveness, and as it relates to ourselves and identity and that stuff. Really, burp there, that's very strongly what's emphasized, I suppose, really what's coming through here in that way. Sorry, maybe I should rename myself to like the burping astrologer or something, because every time that happens, it's usually like an emphasis or to pay attention to what's coming through there. Okay, also on this day, we're going to have this Venus in quincunx to Jupiter. So again, Venus ruling over this Libran energy, but Venus is in Scorpio. There could be a revelation, a transformation that needs to occur with this Libran type energy, like I said, with this quincunx to Jupiter now retrograde, this old stuff coming out. There's frustrations and expansion and awareness and things that are coming through, but needs to be faced and needs to be transformed. There's no bullshitting around anymore, right? Scorpio doesn't fuck with bullshit. Okay? Scorpio's gonna lay it out for you straight. Scorpio doesn't butter it up. Okay, and when we're dealing with Jupiter and Gemini here, this is the expansion. Like I said, on this stuff regarding as Jupiter shadow happened through the eclipse, all that stuff, there's stuff that's going to be coming out, stuff that we have to face, stuff that needs to be transformed regarding these Venus-related things. And this Libran type of energy that's really, really coming through here, I feel with this. And with this quincunx, this is a frustration, but it's something that needs to be integrated. Something that's like, it's like, fuck, I don't want to deal with this shit, but I have to. And Jupiter expands whatever it touches. So Jupiter is going to expand the frustration of whatever the fuck this is that is coming up with this Venus in Scorpio. Right? Venus is also peaking in a quincunx to Chiron as well. So if we have a look at that, there's a sextile here between this Jupiter and Chiron, and with these two quincunxes to Venus. So there is a yod forming here to Venus in Scorpio at the apex. Venus is ruling over this Libran energy. We can take this off here and look at all the stuff that is happening in Libra. Okay? And Venus is ruling over that. Venus is in Scorpio. Jupiter, Chiron. Okay? Both retrograde and in sextile here, forming this yod. We need to transform, and it's through these aspects of justice stuff that needs to come up to the surface to be released, healed, and transformed regarding these Venus-related things. Relationships. This could be monetary things, what we value, all that stuff. It's even with Uranus here in Taurus. Okay, Venus is building an opposition as well in this yod with Uranus here in Taurus. Change. Change. Cattle prod energy. Learning to see the value in transformation and change. There's big things that need to fucking change. They just do. I'm getting this energy coming through again regarding these eclipse seasons, regarding all of this stuff. Again, with this Pluto and Capricorn, we can't fuck this up. There's behind the scenes faded energy coming through here. Venus still in quintile of this energy. We can't fuck this up, guys. It's coming through whether you like it or not. And this yod here, especially with this Chiron, this assertiveness, this awareness, this healing, this transformation, this justice, this balance, all of that is coming through. All of that. All of that stuff. Another thing that's peaking on this day, Venus in sesquiquadrate to the north node, right here, this sesqui-square, okay, and then semisextile the south node in Libra, where Venus is ruling over this transformation, this letting go of this old shit coming up to be released. We need to move forward in a new direction. The sesquiquadrate is something, or a sesqui-square is, you can't sweep this under the rug anymore. Things need to be transformed so we can move forward. There's an aspect of this, again, this Mars type energy, this assertiveness type energy. Feel like there's a feminine power that's coming through here. There's more of this stronger energy on the other side. The pendulum needs to swing back in the other way so we can move forward in this new direction, in appropriate assertiveness, in this healed anger, this healed sense in this way. And this yod is really expanding and forcing this healing with this Chiron energy, this Jupiter energy, stuff from the past that needs to see you the fuck later. This Venus aspect to the nodes and Venus in Scorpio, transformation. This stuff has to be faced, whether you like it or not. Scorpio is like, I don't give a fuck. You need to face this whether you like it or not. That's why people feel like Scorpio's toxic. Scorpio's not toxic because Scorpio's like, you're a fucking idiot if you don't deal with this shit. That's what Scorpio is. So if you think Scorpio's toxic, you're a fucking idiot because you don't want to deal with your own fucking shit. Okay? That's not going to be it for everybody. But the thing is, like I said, Scorpio's not going to butter it up for you. This stuff needs to be faced so it can be transformed, so we can move forward and let go of the bullshit. That's what this is. Venus is also in semisextile to Juno here. So there's there's this aspect of partnerships, contractual partnerships, those types of things. that are coming up in Libra. Maybe there's aspects of codependency. I initially was hearing like balance. There's an aspect of balance that needs to occur here. Even maybe justice, but balance between our partnerships and relationships. The semi-sextile here, something that needs to be transformed in this way. Coming to the surface to be released and transformed, healed in some way. This looks like, even though this is just a quarter moon, this is one hell of a fucking intense quarter moon. We got a freaking yod. We've got all this. We've got a whole bunch of crap happening. Okay, we're still in eclipse season. This energy is still here. Very much, very strongly still here. Let's move on to Friday the 11th. Okay, and this is where we're going to have Pluto coming direct. Okay, it's still showing retrograde here. It doesn't come direct until 7:04 p.m. Central Time. Of course, I'm in Canada, so that's not really... We don't have daylight savings here, so that's different than Central Time in the US, but close enough, okay? It'll be 8:04 p.m. Central Time US. All right, but that's when Pluto's going to come direct, okay? And then Pluto's direct in Capricorn only until November 19th. So unless you're going to live to be like 300 years old, we're never going to see Pluto in Capricorn again. All right, this is it. This is it. This is the final transformation, the final nail in the coffin. And Pluto is still in the shadow period here, so despite that Pluto's not retrograde anymore, we're now moving forward, but we're still in the shadow period. We're still dealing with this crap. But now that it's going to be movement forward, it's movement forward into transforming these old structures and crap, right? We're not putting up with bullshit anymore. That's what's coming through. We're healing these assertiveness aspects. Venus is in Scorpio, ruling over all this stuff in Libra. We're not dealing with bullshit anymore. Okay? Also on this day, we're going to have Mercury here in quincunx to Uranus. So there could be a frustration here regarding an awareness of maybe communication and some type of change that needs to occur. Like I said, Uranus is cattle prod energy in Taurus. We need to learn to see the value in change, in transformation. All right? We just do. We just fucking do. The old ways, you think our world is working at the moment? Do you think any of that shit should still be here? No. It needs to change. And in Taurus, these are like big changes. It's trying to like move the bull. Like that shit ain't gonna move. You can tell it to move. It ain't gonna move. You gotta use the cattle prod to be like, get your fucking ass going. Right? That's what this is these big changes that need to occur. Stuff that needs to come out. And I'm not just talking on a global scale. I'm talking in our personal lives as well, as this energy filters down to multiple levels. Okay? As this comes through. All right, so there's a quincunx here. There's likely a frustration maybe regarding communication, regarding these aspects of change, but changes that we know we've needed to make because Uranus is fucking retrograde. Okay, this is going over old spaces. These big changes that we know that have needed to be made for a very long time, but there's something that needs to be integrated here through some type of an awareness of a balance that needs to occur here. And maybe some communication that needs to come through. There's still a trine here to Jupiter now retrograde in Gemini surrounding aspects of communication. But it's regarding aspects of change. Shit that needs to fucking change. All right? There is also Uranus in sesquiquadrate to, or sesquisquare to Black Moon Lilith in Libra. All right? So where we felt outcast in terms of justice, balance, relationships, being put upon, aspects of codependency, all of that. Sesquisquare to Uranus and Taurus, there's big changes. There's stuff that needs to fucking change. With Uranus here in Taurus, retrograde, this is old stuff that needs to change. This sesquisquare, this is shit that can't be swept under the rug any longer. It's like you're forced to deal with it now. Deal with it. And it's about finding justice, balance, and change for this outcasted feminine energy that has been outcasted for a very long time. And it's like, fuck this bullshit. This shit needs to change. This shit can't be outcast anymore. I'm not feeling outcast anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. This stuff, we can't... And Black Moon Lilith is also like... It's that strong feminine energy that knows the bullshit that's been going on behind the scenes, but has been suppressed because it's like, oh, no, we can't listen to that. We need, that's the powers that be that need to be in control. Just push that away. It's like, no. Lilith is fucking pissed off now. She's coming out and she's being like, fuck you. I don't give a shit anymore. This crap needs to change. Okay, that's what this is. Okay, all this, I feel like this is the last video all over again. Anyways, but that seems to just I almost feel like I'm like repeating myself. The energy of this week is just that, and it's really just a more reflection of last week's video and what happened with last week and moving through that. Okay, let's go to Saturday the 12th. Okay, so on this day we're going to have Jupiter in sextile to Chiron, so we're peaking in that sextile now with Chiron here. So like I said, there was a yod earlier in the week, and now this sextile is peaking. So there could be an expansion of communication surrounding where we need to heal, regarding assertiveness, regarding all of this type of stuff, healing our sense of self, all those things. Okay? Expansion of communication, expansion of awareness, maybe even moving in new directions so that we can heal in that way as well. So there's a sextile. There's an opportunity here. And of course, Chiron, where am I going? My mind is all jumbled. It's all over the place, kind of like Jupiter and Gemini can be all over the place. Maybe that's trying to be what's coming through, but Jupiter expands what it touches, and it's expanding this Chiron energy, this Chiron retrograde, this old stuff, these old wounds that are like coming up to be released here. Okay, Sun and Libra moving into trine this Jupiter stuff. So again, like this is all still coming through. Right, so we're also on this day going to have Sun in biquintile to Saturn, peaks on this day as well. So there could be something happening behind the scenes regarding the dissolution of this malefic energy and this illumination. I don't know why I want to say that, but illumination of justice in some way. But this is again strong creative energy happening. It's happening behind the scenes in some way, but you can see this is building into that golden yod energy as well between this quintile, between Saturn and Uranus, and of course with the focal point here being the Sun now in Libra. Now it's no longer Mercury, it's the Sun now being the focal point of this golden yod. Again, regarding these aspects of change, the dissolution of these old structures, all of that stuff, although Pluto is now direct, right? So we're moving forward now, but Saturn is still retrograde, Uranus is still retrograde, but we're moving forward on the changes that have needed to be made for just a very, very, very long time. All right. Also on this day, we're going to have Mercury peaking in quincunx to Neptune. So again, this could be a frustration regarding and maybe how we've been deceived, what we've been told, what's been going on behind the scenes that now has maybe been made aware in some way regarding this justice energy in Libra, right? So we can see here there's even a yod forming here. There's a quincunx forming here with this Uranian energy to Mercury. I think we might have talked about that already. And then this quincunx here to now Neptune, with this Neptune here in sextile to Uranus. So again, regarding these aspects of, I almost feeling like awakening in a sense with this Uranian energy and Neptune, awakening to really what's been hidden. What's been happening behind the scenes, and with Mercury and Libra at the focal point of these two quincunxes forming this yod, this justice, this awareness that is coming through in this way that, you know what, with this Neptune and Pisces, and I think I mentioned it in last week's video, that, or in another video before that, you know, Neptune and Pisces, it's that illusion type energy, but it's like the media, it's that kind of stuff. You'd be amazed, for those who don't understand or use video editing software or technology in that way, like, there's a lot of ways that you can manipulate things to look really fucking real, using actual real footage, even live, to strew it and make it into a narrative that's not exactly what it is, right? So just because something appears to be a certain way does not mean that that's what it actually is. And there's a quincunx, these two quincunxes causing this frustration, this awakening, this realization, this integration that needs to occur regarding this awakening, and ultimately relating to aspects of change and dissolution that needs to occur here to find appropriate balance through awareness and communication that is happening here. Mercury is also in trine to Mars's north node here in Gemini, so there is a communication still happening here regarding maybe, you know, this Mars type energy, this assertiveness type stuff that we're healing with Mars and Cancer, really expressing how we feel and things that have existed in that way too. So like I said, it's all of that stuff that I've already spoken about this week. Of course, Mercury also peaks in a sesqui-square to Saturn on this day as well. So again, there's something that can't be swept under the rug here regarding this old aspects of control is basically what I want to say. And the transformation of that with Pluto in a Saturn sign of Capricorn here, and with Saturn in Pisces, the dissolution of that malefic energy stuff, and also stuff that needs to be coming through. Remember, Pisces is what's hidden, what's behind the scenes, escapism, all of that kind of stuff. And with this sesqui square here to this Mercury energy in Libra, this could be stuff that's really, again, bringing to awareness to be balanced. It's like, this has to be faced now. These old patterns of control, restriction, structure, the way things were, they're not working anymore. It needs to be changed. Saturn is in a mutable sign in Pisces where there are no boundaries. It needs to be just like dissolved, just torn apart, manipulated in some way. It's like I don't know why I got almost like a hologram that's distorted, right? Like the holodeck in Star Trek, where it's like if it glitches out or there's something wrong with it and it becomes like that distorted energy, it's like that's almost like that, so it can be changed and made into something different and new that supports a more balanced way. Anyway, don't know why that's coming through, but sure. All right, I think this video has gone on long enough. That's all I've really got for this week. Thank you to everyone who watched this video. Of course, if you have made it this far, put a purple heart in the comments so I know you're a real one, that you've actually watched the whole over 50 minutes that this video is. And again, thank you for watching. As always, take care everyone. Have a great week. Bye for now.